Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. We welcome you, whatever time and wherever in the world you are listening. We are pleased you have found us. You are now listening to Inside the Bunghole, a podcast taking you on a journey through wine. Together, we will learn more about this wonderful elixir of life. So raise your glass to welcome your hosts and partners in wine, Pam and James. You are now inside the bunghole.
Well, kids, we're back inside the bunghole.
We are.
Me, James, their mom, and we are sitting here with Darrin Low. And Darrin is from Domaine Anderson, which is way up north in California. Near towards Eureka almost.
Certain air.
Yeah. How far north is it from Napa? About it?
2 hours.
2 hours. Wow.
Do you feel kind of removed being out there, or you're still in the wine? I mean, you're in your own little group.
Removed.
Well, you do feel removed.
We're in the sticks as far as the northern counties and wine country. We're on the edge. We're in the sticks.
You're in the sticks.
Yeah.
What's the elevation up there?
The elevation of the vineyards. Yeah. My highest is 600 feet, but there's some other vineyards up there that are like 1,000, 1,200 feet. Not super high, but just enough. But our climate is defined by the ocean because we're 25 miles from the ocean, so that's good.
And and it's a much cooler climate, certainly from the desert, but even the Napa kind of, right? Or no, not so much.
It's cooler.
It is cool.
Oh, definitely.
Because you guys are doing Chardonnays, which is your forte, and Pinots are your the big two.
Yeah.
So the weather must be wonderful for Chardonnay.
It's perfect for cool climate varieties, and most so Domaine Anderson is the still wines from Roederer State.
And Roederer is a fantastic champagne method, I imagine.
Yeah.
Sparkling.
Yeah, it's a California sparkler that's been around for 40 years. 40 years ago, the Rousseau family came and planted their flag, the Champagne, the Louis Roederer flag in Anderson Valley, which was pretty far removed 40 years ago. If you imagine, in the 80s, there's not a lot of sparkling wine producers in California at the time. That's when everybody came.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But the Rousseaus planted their flag up in Anderson Valley. Pinot Noir and Chardonnay, perfect climate to grow those cool climate varieties for sparkling wine. But viticulture's improved. We've had some drought years recently, but we also know now that it's great for still wines, and so that's
And when did you guys start making the stills?
2009. There's a couple tanks. Just in the tasting room, a little bit of Pinot Noir from the grapes, but I came from the Sonoma Coast. That's where I really cut my teeth on Pinot Noir, Chardonnay, and it's a different mentality growing and making sparkling wine in California as opposed to growing and making still wines, Pinots especially in California. So it's a different sensibility. It's a different, you gotta grow the grapes differently. You got different machines.
Really? I can see that once it gets barreled and you're doing the fermentation process and all that, where the bubbles actually, become bubbles. But the growing, what's the difference with growing at still grapes?
Oh, yeah. It's, you're looking for different things. So with still grapes, especially for red wines, you want the skin, the rightness in the skins. So you want lower yields. With sparkling wines, you can kind of ask the vine to give you a little more grape. So because it doesn't have to have that type of concentration, because you're really harvesting the grapes and pressing immediately, and you're pressing at 18 to 20 bricks. So you're not asking for the vine to do much. So it can handle a lot more. It could have a lot more fruit.
I'm gonna do the nerd alert.
Oh.
Okay, because we have heard this in the past, but I don't know if we've ever delved into it. Brick. Give me or give our listening audience just an idea of what brick measures, Sorry.
So Brix, Brix is a name of a scientist, a person. So it's always Brix. It's never brick.
Okay.
One thing.
With an X?
Yeah, Brix with an X, and it's a measurement of sugar in a aqu- in a aqueous solution, and so for us, it's a measure of sugar, and thus it is a way to calculate alcohol.
Right.
Yes, because the sugar turns into the alcohol.
Is it read with a gun or something, or you suck something out, or how do you
I think there is a gun that could read something like
that?
Yeah, yeah. But
Alcohol.
yeah, but we have the old like in the 70s, 60s, 70s. If my light refractometer, if that the instrument, the old school instrument is called a refractometer, where you put a little bit of the liquid. You've seen that. I'm sure that's like in some movie or something, where you hold it up to a light source, and then it could give you the sugar content.
Is it the same as a restaurant in Napa? Bricks?
Yes.
Is that how you spell it?
Yes, that's how you spell it.
Now, are you dry farming where you're at, or is it?
There's certain areas, certain parts of the vineyard. So the Roederer Estate farms like 600 acres, right, of Anderson Valley, and Anderson Valley is only 2,500 acres total. Wow, we farm about a quarter of it.
Yeah.
Most of it goes to Spartanmore. 50 acres of what we farm goes to me, and I make still wines out of it. And those 50 acres they're like I said, we are looking for different things. So they're all 50 acres are organic certified, and 2/3 of those are biodynamic certified. So we're growing the grapes in this way so that I can make the wine in a certain way.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure. So what's the question? The first.
It would if you dry farm.
Yeah.
And some of the
Right. So some of those vineyards, some of the parcels, and I'm thinking about the Dashed vineyard where the Domaine Anderson winery is at in Philo. There's a vineyard around it called Dash, D-A-C-H. That's a 20-acre vineyard, and parts of it were farmed dry farm starting in 2017. Dry farm 2018, expanded it 2019, expanded even more of the acreage to dry farm. Then the drought came, 3 consecutive years of drought.
oh boy,
And so there was a couple things that happened. The vines that were dry farmed were kind of weaned off of water. You know, by this time the vines there, it was planted in 2007. Some were planted in 2007, others were planted in 2009. So they're right at the maturity level where they can take dry farming, where the roots isn't really
Going deep.
and so some of those vines, well, if we didn't start dry farming them, I think those vines would have been more susceptible to damage.
Yeah.
Because those 3 years of drought, 3 consecutive years of drought really constricted there's no water. So the vines got kind of small, especially on the edges there. So we started watering when we got water in 22, 23. And so then we're gonna go back to dry farming again. Like certain areas, there's certain blocks that I feel a little bit more comfortable dry farming, and the results you can taste and see the result because there's much more concentration. That was pretty lucky, right? Yes, that's right.
Now, when did you get passionate about doing the organic farming, or was this a dictate from, it was like,
It's my career I was introduced to biodynamic farming in 2002, 2003 when I was in Napa at Grgich Hills.
yes,
I knew that.
were you under?
We just did a podcast with you.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Evo, is a pioneer, I think, he welcomed, I mean, it was just the Napa and California wineries, vineyards were ready for that philosophy to kind of migrate over from Europe. Like it got with the Jolie, Nicolas Jolie, it got popular in like the Loire and kind of more grassroots. I think it's really all part of a bigger, slow food,
Right.
Yeah.
slow wine, yes, back to kind of more old style.
To base
Honestly,
and not fancy.
Are you guys to the point where you have like animals and bees and different flowers out there, creating your own pollens and
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I can't really say we're creating our own palm.
Right. But you're giving, there's opportunity around.
There's small.
From airborne.
Yeah. No, all that. The animals we're bringing in sheath. We get the cover crop in there. I mean, just as a cycle, we this year, like every year that this time we just pruning the vineyards, and we're waiting for a little more water. I think it's going to rain at the end of this week. Cover crop's going to grow. Sheep are going to come in anytime now for like the winter up through February, March. Yeah, end of February, early March. And then the sheep will kind of help us keep the grasses and the cover crop down.
Yep.
It'll also add back that more natural cyclizer in the soil.
Yeah.
And so that's all to,
It's a good feeling to walk around and hear. You know what I mean?
yeah. I mean,
It's like, wow.
yeah, you said that well. It's well healthy.
Yeah. You know,
Yeah.
that's real. Here comes real.
Yeah. It's just, and you're doing something the right way. That's a
Speaking the right way, we're going to take a break and come back. But I want to talk about your schooling. I know you're a California native, and then you were in Washington, and you went to France and studied abroad. So we're going to take a quick break.
Yeah, we'll talk about that on the way back.
Yep.
If you want to know more about Inside the Bunghole, join us on all our social media platforms. You can get a revisit and view all the latest posts, giveaways, and information on this podcast. Simply search Inside the Bunghole on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. Like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment. We would love to hear from you. Or you can email us at insidethebunghole@gmail.com. Thanks for tuning in, and visit our website at insidethebunghole.buzzsprout.com, where you can always find our latest podcast and past episodes. Cheers!
So tell me about your schooling.
Well, I grew up in wine country. I grew up in Healdsburg, California, in the 80s, and it was kind of right when wine was taking off in Sonoma County. Pinot really is, not a whole lot of people knew about Pinot back then, except for the guys in Ruffin River. They were kind of keeping it a secret.
Right.
It was big Zinfandels coming out of Dry Creek. Paul Draper was making some really nice wines out of Ridge. But everything was in Napa. Everything was in Napa during that time.
Napa.
And my dad, my folks had a little wine shop. I started tasting wines in the 80s and 90s when Robert Parker was giving those big scores to those humongous wines. And I kind of learned about wine because they were sweet and juicy and fruity, and
They got your buzz?
thanks that or 15% alcohol. One glass. So that's how I got started, and then I started working harvest just to get right before school started, and he loved it so much. I created my own major in Santa Cruz and went to France, worked there for a year.
And your folks were cool with it.
Yeah, totally cool. I mean,
You're going to go down that road, huh?
yeah, we had a little grocery store business too, and he wanted my dad wanted me. I think he would have liked if I kind of kept up with it,
Right.
but I was into making wine and learning that wine, and I figured, where else can you learn a different language and travel and get drunk
And eat great food.
Yeah.
Sign me up.
So how was France? What was the university, or was it just a winemaking college or course? Or
Well, in France, so I went to the fac, which is they call the faculty, which is just like a normal college, nothing like superior. They have like a superior agricultural. I went to just like the normal Bordeaux University,
Right.
And then they had the faculty there. Some of the in the 70s, the same faculty discovered or wrote papers on. I mean, this is early stuff like
Right.
malolactic fermentation.
Mhm.
Like nobody knew what that was.
We used to ring the bell on that one.
But
we got it.
Yeah, I think our people know by now.
I mean, but that was studied.
That was new, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, at least they figured it out, what was doing it,
Right.
and so that was from University of Bordeaux, in the professors that were doing some studies there. I studied there for a year and a half, um, as part of the DNO, the Diplôme National of Enology, that program. And that's a 2-year program. But since I was a UC student, I just did the year and then came back and came back to Santa Cruz and worked.
And you worked at some great places like Flowers.
Yeah.
Is that where you develop your style of Chardonnay or Pinot Noir? Because I know that's what they're known for.
I think I cut my teeth developing a style. I mean, as a winemaker, I think I would be hard pressed to say any winemaker that's been doing it for this long has a style that all the way through their career.
Yeah.
At Flowers, I developed a style and I learned techniques. But I think the style and the vineyards there were just amazing. I mean, the vineyards at Flowers, we're talking about, altitude or elevation. And that's like, 1,800 feet, 2,400 feet right next to the coast. So they were pretty amazing vineyards. But I think I was a little more heavy-handed back then. I think I'm a little less.
You're evolving
No.
constantly. As a winemaker, I imagine
No.
anybody who has a craft, an artist, you look at their early work and their late work, and it can be completely different.
Yeah.
What kind of stuff are you kind of toying around with? Or you playing with that you might want to?
I'd love to have Roederer, like us looking into different varietals just to play with for still wine. Now, the big picture, like sparkling wine, especially champagne-based sparkling wine, you're not going to put in Chenin Blanc, or you're not going to put in, I don't know, Gamay for other grape. But for still wines, I'd love to see that happen. Maybe like Aligoté or something like that for like it's like something that
Obscure.
something fun that just maybe out of the tasting room, just something that's not.
Bring back cold duck.
I would love to.
Bring it back. Yeah. When is it go time for you to harvest? I mean, I know you're out there and you're looking at it. Is there like a window, like a week window? Could a week be even too late if you go past with a Chardonnay?
Chardonnays are a little more forgiving than Pinot.
Okay.
Pinots are a bitch to grow.
Pinot, yeah, and the window is, I think, a little tighter for Pinot in the style that I'm making.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm not making like kind of big, super opulent. I mean, I like the balance of juiciness and kind of tension in my wines.
But not getting too far, too ripe.
Exactly.
Okay.
You guys use French oak on your Chardonnay, or is it more like a French style Chardonnay?
I mean, we use all our barrels are from France, so yeah, French oak, and the majority, all the Chardonnay is fermented in barrels.
Oh God.
I have other stuff that I do that I don't ferment in barrel, but
New oak or neutral?
mostly neutral.
Mhm.
I'm usually sitting around 15 to 20% of new oak barrels. So I like to keep the oak impact measured a little down, especially because my wines are 12.5 to 13.5% alcohol. So I think if I had a bigger wine, bigger wines, bigger alcohol can take the oak, can take the sweetness, it actually kind of like builds on that sweetness. But the wines I'm making are a little more on the discreet, elegant side instead of the kind of more big, more bombastic type of like California sun side. So I'm trying to like take things down a notch. And it's more challenging on years of drought, for instance.
Yeah, 3 back to back.
Yeah, and so is there a window? It really depends on the vintage. Those drought years, everything got ripe quick. So there was like once we start harvesting for sparkling, and then my radar is on. Like I'm at that point. Once we start harvesting for sparkling, I'm in the vineyard every single day, twice a day, just like tasting and making sure that this is how I want things picked.
Right.
And
it's go time.
And then it's go time.
Everyone, all hands on deck and want done. Wow.
Well, I feel like like that style of Chardonnay you're producing is like, it's starting to trend more than in the oaky, buttery Chardonnays now. as far as what I see here at the wine bar. You know?
Yeah, really. Yeah. I mean, I think it totally depends on your clientele as well, and so yeah, I think the younger folks, sommeliers, I think they do prefer the more acid-driven style. I think if you're on a cruise ship, perhaps like if you're like just having a good time and just want to enjoy wine without like having to talk about it too much, I think there's styles like that.
Yeah,
there's enough.
Porch pounders.
Yeah, horse pounders.
Well, let's take another quick break, and then we'll come back, and I want to find out more about the winery. How do we get in touch with you, and your wine club, things like that. So we'll be back in a wink. We wink.
If you want to know more about Inside the Bunghole, join us on all our social media platforms. You can get a revisit and view all the latest posts, giveaways, and information on this podcast. Simply search Inside the Bunghole on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. Like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment. We would love to hear from you. Or you can email us at insidethebunghole@gmail.com. Thanks for tuning in, and visit our website at insidethebunghole.buzzsprout.com, where you can always find our latest podcast and past episodes. Cheers!
Okay, and welcome back, everybody. And we're sitting here talking to Darrin Low of Domaine Anderson, who's got some fantastic Chardonnays and Pinots. And he's actually out here in the desert for the Palm Springs 5th annual Palm Springs Pinot Fest, which is a great event. We've done a podcast on that. But so tell me a little bit about the vineyard, your wine club. How does somebody go? Is it appointments only? What's the story with the
winery and
the winery?
Yeah, what's the deal? So we have a tasting room. It's open 5 days a week in Anderson Valley. So if you're ever in Mendocino County,
If you're ever in this mix.
yeah, I mean, Mendocino County, that's lots of forest, lots of vineyard. Anderson Valley is really now is really Pinot and Chardonnay. There used to be a little more Alsatian varietals like Gewürztraminer. That's kind of making a comeback. And that's another thing I like. Gewürztraminer, Riesling.
I love it. Yeah.
You should talk about the Gewürztraminer.
Gewürztraminer.
What's the origin of that variety?
I don't know. Well, let's try to figure it out, because is it Alsace or is it Germany?
If someone's listening, write us. Let us know. What is the origin?
It's got to be in that
area.
Yeah.
Tough word. It's like Worcestershire.
Yeah.
But anyway,
So Anderson Valley is a little more exclusive, or shall we say boutique, if you will. It's not as
It's more remote.
yeah. It's just harder to get there.
Yeah. And there's a lot of like wine companies, established wine companies, that have made a good investment, because the grapes in Anderson Valley were slightly cheaper, like less expensive than the grapes coming from Sonoma Coast or Russian River. So there's a lot of like Sonoma and Napa wine companies
snatching up.
investing, snatching up grapes.
Yeah.
But it's still, overall, it's still it's a small footprint. So you're going to get a little more small producers. So it's got that type of charm. So you're in the area. It's a 1-lane highway, 128, going straight to the coast through Anderson Valley. It's kind of quiet, but it's like how, say, Napa Valley was maybe 30, 40 years ago.
Yeah. See, that's a good vibe though.
Yeah, that's great.
No, great food.
You're so they do. It's a good wine scene or food scene up there, and
I mean, yeah. I mean, there's like it's definitely a wine scene.
Yeah.
I mean, there's the Anderson Valley Brewery up there as well. So there's like good beer. I'm sure.
there you go. See, that'd be my husband. Weathers.
Nachos.
Yeah.
And your tasting room. How do you get to be a member? What's the benefit of being a member? Tell me a little bit about your membership.
So we have a couple parties a year. We'll have, like, say, for instance, the spring release. We'll have paella we just have like events.
Yeah.
As a member, and then you also get information on becoming like a Roederer member as well. And also our third winery out there is Scharfenberger. So those make two different styles of sparkling wine. One's more the Malo California style. One's more the French, more
And that's the Roederer, right?
Roederer, yeah. And so all three of those wine clubs are linked, and so you can enjoy amenities and then benefits from all three. Yeah,
Reciprocity.
yeah. Good to know.
Good to know.
Is your and we'll get to the address and the email and all that stuff, but I just want to know, is your jam, is it Chardonnay?
Yeah,
Is it Chardonnay?
Yeah. I like
Is that for now or in your process of evolution, or has it always been, I love my Chardonnays?
Chardonnay is beautiful because so many people make it in so many different expressions, and you can grow it really well in many areas of the world. So what I love about Chardonnay, one thing I love is that my Anderson Valley Chardonnay is going to be not like the Napa Valley Chardonnay, but not like the Pouligny Marché. Burgundy's like the target, right, of all Chardonnay, and I would be, that's a tall order to get a California wine that tastes like a Burgundy. Not that I want it to taste like Burgundy, but there's some qualities from white Burgundies that I absolutely love.
Yeah.
Chardonnay, Mr. Chardonnay.
Okay, so next time you guys are walking around in the boonies up in Anderson Valley, stop by the tasting room and join the club.
Yeah.
What is the website?
It's Domaine Anderson, so that's Domaine, Domaine with an E, Anderson with an O.
Yeah, it's a good website. We went on there and saw you harvesting and information about. It's where we serve some of our.
There was some good information on there.
Yeah, we're right in the heart of the valley, in Philo. And there's it's a beautiful place to discover.
Well, Mr. Chardonnay, it was a pleasure.
It was a pleasure, and I hope you do well at the Pinot Fest.
Thank you.
I'm sure you'll have fun.
Pleasure's mine.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah. Thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers. Yeah. Chin. Great.
Jimmy,
League of Hanging.
you left me hanging.
Cheers. Thank you, guys.
If you want to know more about Inside the Bunghole, join us on all our social media platforms. You can get a revisit and view all the latest posts, giveaways, and information on this podcast. Simply search Inside the Bunghole on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. Like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment. We would love to hear from you. Or you can email us at insidethebunghole@gmail.com. Thanks for tuning in, and visit our website at insidethebunghole.buzzsprout.com, where you can always find our latest podcast and past episodes. Cheers!